Now, let me tell you why Kentucky and Oregon matter. So Kentucky and Oregon don't have enough delegates to make a big enough dent in Hillary Clinton's lead. So whether Bernie Sanders, right now, he's barely winning with 95% reporting in Kentucky, and he's got a lead in the polls in Oregon, whether he wins them by a little bit or loses them by a little bit, in terms of the delegate math, is almost entirely irrelevant, right? Because he's got to win the rest of the 66% of the rest of the pledged delegates to have more pledged delegates, leaving the superdelegates aside. But now people are saying, wait a minute, Hillary really doesn't have any momentum, right? So Bernie Sanders has won a lot of the elections in the later rounds, right? Now, obviously, she's leading, so she won plenty of the elections beforehand, but she's losing momentum as we're going forward here. And now if Bernie Sanders wins both Kentucky, even if it's by a little bit, and Oregon, probably he'll win it somewhat convincingly. Well, here she goes again. I mean, the media's been telling us it's over, it's over, it's over. But if it's so over, why does Bernie Sanders keep winning?
And really fast point there. They tried last time this happened, the last cycle. They were like, "Oh well, it's just Trump's voters voting for it." These are closed primaries tonight.
Yes.
Yeah.
And by the way,
no Trump voters are making Kentucky go for Bernie.
And by the way, that was the whole thing about how Bernie Sanders won West Virginia, because 44% of his voters would actually vote for Trump in the general election and not Bernie Sanders, was a lie. Okay. Now, the people who quoted that, some of them made an honest mistake, in my opinion, and didn't mean to lie. But if you read that poll, first of all, it should have been a red flag for you guys. Are you kidding me? Really? 44% of the people that voted for Bernie Sanders did it as some sort of political trick. Instead of voting for Trump, who was on the ballot, they went and voted for Bernie Sanders instead. Your antenna should have gone up if you're a reporter. Go, what? No, that's way too large a number. So you know what the actual thing was? I looked into it after reading those stories. No, 44% said that if Bernie Sanders is not in the general election, they would vote for Trump over Hillary Clinton. Okay? So now that is an interesting number and one that should cause concern for the Clinton camp, but that is not they're Donald Trump supporters and they're trying to trick people, and hence they voted for Bernie and they'd vote for Trump over Bernie, which is how it was reported. Right. God damn it, like it's over and over and over again, right? So, but the press ran with it. They were all just Trump voters. That win in West Virginia didn't mean anything.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. But all of a sudden, I even saw it in the press today. There was even one article saying, like, is Hillary really going to lose Kentucky and Oregon? This is not a good
Kentucky,
sign.
which I'm going to check how much she won by.
Remember, Arkansas is one of her 18 home states, right? And so...
Like how Kentucky's your fifth.
Right, exactly, right? And
yeah, Hillary won
the South,
65 to 29, 65 to 30
in
2008.
In 2008, that's how much she won Kentucky by. It's close to the South. Some consider it in the South. It's close to Arkansas. She won it by that large a margin in 2008, and here she is, tied at this point, losing by a little bit to Bernie Sanders in a race that TV keeps telling us was over many weeks ago.
Yep.
So, yeah, it matters. It matters because the final argument, if Bernie Sanders is going to have any chance at all, the final argument he's going to make is twofold. One, he's going to make a very aggressive case in California where there is over 500 delegates. It is by far the largest state. That is a ton of delegates in California. He's going to go there and say, she hasn't won anything in over a month. She has no momentum, even though she declared herself the winner. Even though all of TV said she was the winner, she's got no momentum at all. She keeps losing every state, right? And she has an FBI investigation. I don't know if they're too calm, they're too soft to make that argument.
They're definitely not going to mention the FBI investigation. They're just not. And I would actually...
It drives me crazy because if Bernie Sanders had an FBI investigation on him, they would have eliminated him on day one.
He'd be gone.
On day one, Ned Stark would have taken out the sword and be like, bam, you're done. I'm done with you, okay? So instead...
If they found inconsistencies in his OkCupid profile, they would have told him to drop out by now.
That's right. Instead of that, he's Jon Snow, and he keeps going... And he did it in West Virginia. It looks like tonight he might do it in Kentucky. He's likely to do it in Oregon. And all these states that he keeps winning, Indiana, win after win after win, right? Again, be fair, Hillary Clinton has more wins. That's why she's got more pledged delegates now. But the case he's going to make, one, to California, hey, look, you got to come with me, right? And two, at the convention, because neither side is going to have enough pledged delegates to win. Even if things go as they are, and Hillary Clinton has a big-sized pledged delegate lead, it is not a majority.
Yeah.
15% of the delegates are super delegates, okay? So based on how the polling is going and the voting is going so far, the super delegates will decide the race. So Bernie can go to the primary and go into the convention and go, hey, listen, she might have, let's say, 150 more pledged delegates more than me, right? But I won the last 7 out of races. I won California. I picked up, however many delegates I picked up in California, 85, 115, whatever it is that he picks up, although those would be large numbers, right? And there, I don't know if anyone will actually run an actual tough campaign on the Bernie team and go, she's under federal investigation. And by the way, now all the polls show her in a statistical tie with Trump. The first one, they said, oh, ignore it. It's just an outlier. Now another one came out, NBC News today. She's up 3 points within the margin of error. Statistical tie in Ohio, in Florida, in Pennsylvania, okay? She's gonna lose. Super delegates, this is your job. Your job is to switch over and vote for the more electable candidate. Now, is that gonna work? As things stand now, I would be shocked beyond imagination if the super delegates that love this establishment switch over to Bernie Sanders to vote against Hillary Clinton, okay? But the only wild card, in my opinion, is if the indictment comes down and he won 7 out of the last 8 states and she's doing miserably in the polling, then we're having a conversation. And that's a real conversation. Yeah. And that happens at the convention. That's why it's not over. If there was no indictment hanging over our head, and by the way, the FBI says any day now, any day, right? And they said it is not a special inquiry, it is an investigation. James Comey said, investigation is in our title. It's the Federal Bureau of Investigations. That's what we do.
I think it's inquiries.
Okay. So the Bernie camp maddeningly won't tell you this, but we will. And if there was no indictment, by the way, I would say, guys, wrap it up. He's not going to catch her on pledged delegates, and the super delegates are not going to flip. He's lost the election. Yeah. But that indictment does hang there. It can make all the difference. That's why winning in Kentucky and Oregon could be relevant.